This is the FINKE virtual event that I ran last year for our riders, which is actually a paid event. And I thought I'd give it away for you guys this year going into FINKE to give you a little bit of a helping hand, and hopefully you can grab some tips from it to help you prepare and make sure it's a good event for you. So we covered a whole heap of different things. We went through nutrition on race day and before race day. We went what to do with the lead up with your training into FINKE. We went through stretching and mobility exercises after you've been traveling in the car. We went through a lot of hydration. So hopefully you find this helpful. It is quite long, so make sure you've got a notepad, a pen, or somewhere to write some notes, so you can actually take something from it and be able to implement it for FINKE this year or for your own racing. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Andrew Hammer. I've worked with hundreds of riders and racers from around the world to get them race fit and race ready. So here it is. So the way I'm going to cover tonight, or the way tonight is going to go, it's going to go in this order. First, I'm going to go through the 7-day lead up and what to do as we get closer to FINKE. Okay, so we're about two and a bit weeks away from the actual event. I know there's a lot of you that I've spoken to already who are going up about a week early, doing pre-running. Some of you have already done pre-running before. Obviously, some of you have raced in previous years, so you've got some idea of what to expect. So I'll go through the 7-day lead up. I'll go through what to do on scrutineering day, prologue day, day 1, day 2. And then when we get to the end, like I said, for the last half an hour, in about an hour's time, that's where we'll go through the live Q&A and tackle any questions that you've got. With regards to questions and what we're going to cover tonight, everything we're covering, everything we're doing is with regards to physical preparation. Okay, so the skill set for riding and setting up the bike and doing gearing and all that sort of stuff, they're the questions you need to ask a riding coach. That's Ben Grabham type questions, okay, for someone like him, Ivan Long. They're questions that those types of people are going to help you with. What I'm going to help you with is the physical stuff, which is a different skill set. It's the off the bike stuff, okay? It's everything outside of actually riding the bike and setting the bike up that's going to allow you to be able to perform at your best. So my goal for this event tonight is for each of you to have one breakthrough in the way that you prepare for FINKE this year. If you prepared for FINKE before and you've done it, it's to be able to find you one area that you can tweak and change that's going to allow you to improve your performance physically from previous years. If this is your first year going in, it's to give you a bit more confidence and a bit of a plan going in so that you've got somewhat of an idea of how to prepare your body physically going into such a big race. Okay, so one breakthrough might not sound like much, but I know that in the scheme of things, one breakthrough is massive. If there's one thing that I can teach you or help you with that's going to give you more energy, I know you're going to perform better. Okay, if there's one thing that I can help you with that's going to allow you to concentrate better, I know that's going to reduce your risk of coming off and having a crash. If there's one recovery technique I can give you that's going to make you feel less sore and less fatigued, I know you're going to perform better on day 2. If there's one hydration technique that I can give you that you can implement, or protocol you can implement that you haven't done before or haven't been implementing or haven't thought of or didn't know about, and that allows you to be hydrated for a full race rather than getting halfway through and feeling fucked, then I know that that's going to help your performance. Okay, so all I want you to look for is I'm going to go through so much stuff tonight. Okay, there is going to be a shit ton of stuff here. You're not going to be able to implement it all, and you're definitely not going to remember it all. I just need you to find the one thing, the one big thing for you that you're going to implement that's going to allow you to improve your physical performance. Okay, that's all I want you to look for this whole thing. What's the one big thing you're going to implement that's going to allow you to improve your performance? Okay, so a lot of the information might be great. It might sound good. You're like, that's awesome. But just we're looking for the one thing. So in the chat, you guys will have a rough idea. There's some sort of expectation that you have. The reason that you've given up your time tonight, given up your money to come here, is because there's a specific outcome that you want from tonight, something you want to achieve, something you want to get from tonight that you feel is going to lead you to be better off at the end of the night than what you were at the start of the night. And I want to find out what that is from you now before we get started. So in the chat box, from each and every one of you, I want you to write down which area are you going to find your breakthrough tonight. Which area is the area that you feel needs the most work or that you can have the biggest benefit or advantage from? Is it finding out how to eat before race day? Is it finding out what snacks to have? Is it learning about carb loading? Is hydration an issue for you? Are you not sure what stuff you need to put in your Camelback? and you're not sure if you should be having protein shakes or not. Are you thinking about, okay, what do you need to have at fuel stops? Are you thinking about, okay, fuck, I usually get really sore after a ride. What are some recovery techniques I can use after? Is it something to do with sleep? Is it something to do with recovery? Maybe you get anxious and nervous around racing and you train really well and practice really well, and then you end up racing like shit. Maybe that's the problem. You let me know. Is there specific foods that you'd like to know about? Specific supplements that you'd like to know about? What's the one thing for you? What's the area that you're looking for through this whole call that you're like, once I learn this one thing, this is really going to push my riding forward and set me up. I'm going to be a lot more confident going in, and I'm going to know what I'm doing once I have this one thing, one area tackled in preparation. So post that up in the chat. I want to hear from every single one of you because I want to help you guys. I want to make sure that everything we go through is going to help you. You've taken the time to rock up to the call and put the effort in. There's a lot of other people out there that saw the same posts and same information and same stuff and choose to do 2/5 of fuck all with it. Okay, you guys have put the time and effort to come here, and I want to make sure that every single one of you gets the answers that you need to be able to improve your performance for this year. So let's have a look here. So Matt Clark, relieving muscle soreness after day one and hydration. Awesome. Scott, hydration and fatigue. Great. Brad, what to eat before and on race day and what to drink. Awesome. Hydration and food while riding for Adam. Great. Jason, lead up to the event and after day one recovery. Awesome. So making sure you're fresh for day two. And I think that's one of the hard things about FINKE is you're doing 2, 3, 4 hour enduros in 2 days. Matt Clark, what supplements to use pre-race to help get to the other end? Awesome. Tony, activating the body before the race and recovery. Awesome. Ian, recovery day 2, especially dinner and breakfast is supplied by organisers. Awesome. Andrew Jackson, correct supplements and and when it is best to take them. Beautiful. Awesome, guys. Sweet. So I've heard for a fair few of you there. If you haven't posted up, make sure you post up. We got another late comer. Cool. So a lot of recovery, a lot of fatigue, okay, and a lot of energy seems to be the areas that everyone's wanting to tackle. We're going to have shit tons of information on that stuff. So let's get cracking. So in the 7-day lead up, okay, now the 7-day lead up is a reasonable stretch of time, okay? It's still a week out from when the actual race is. There's still a fair bit of time there that needs to be tackled before you actually go and race. So first thing that needs to happen in that week up is keep in routine. Okay, if you've been training, so you guys that work with me or have worked with me before, we do 3 1-hour blocks of training each week. Okay, 3 1-hour training sessions. So going into that last week, you want to make sure you keep up your routine with training and with movement. Okay, I know you're traveling, I know you're in a different location, I know you're in a different environment, but you need to keep up your routine of training. For those of you that don't work with me, that's fine. I'm sure you've been doing some type of training or fitness work or something to prepare yourself. Keep that work up going into the week of the event. The biggest mistake that I see here is riders and racers will take the week off and rest or taper or call it whatever they want. And they end up feeling worse on race day rather than actually feeling better. The reason that happens is your body is used to training. Okay, if you've been training every week, your body loves that shit. It's getting used to it. It doesn't get sore from training and working out anymore, okay? Or as much as what it did in the first time you started training. It's used to it, okay? That's part of what your body does. To keep flexible and keep mobile and keep active, it likes to move. It likes to do its exercise. It likes to do its training. As soon as you take that away from your body and you take that week off, your body starts to retract. Your training starts to slip backwards. Your strength starts to slip backwards. You start to get tighter. You're less flexible. You get more niggles that start to pop up. Okay, so the most important thing going into the weekend is making sure you keep up your training. If you don't have your normal gym equipment, that's great. Do some bodyweight stuff. Do some bodyweight workouts to keep that momentum up going into the weekend. Okay, taking the week off is not going to improve your performance. It's going to reduce and detract from your performance. That being said, the last session, so you'll be racing Sunday, Monday. Prologue will be on Saturday. So what you want to do that Thursday session, the third training session that you have for the week, if you train 3 times a week on the Thursday, drop the intensity off on that session, okay? If you do weight training, don't crank up the weights on that session. Go 60 or 70% of what you normally do. If you do cardio and conditioning, don't ride as intensely. Back the intensity off and ride less intensely, okay? So you're still moving your body, you're still active, but you're not flogging the shit out of yourself, okay? What we want to do is just keep your body moving and keep it in routine, but at the same time, we're not trying to break any records, okay? The last training session before you go and race. Second thing is proactive versus reactive. So going into FINKE, some of you have done it before and some of you haven't, okay? But you can anticipate different problems and different things that are going to come up. If every single ride you go on, practice ride you go on, you get a headache, you're probably going to get a headache when you go to FINKE, okay? If every single ride you go on, you dehydrate yourself and you feel sick, you're probably going to be dehydrated and feel sick when you go to FINKE, okay? If you usually pull up sore after riding for 3 hours, you're probably going to pull up pretty sore after riding for 3 hours at FINKE, right? So there's things that you can pick up in your training and in your practice that have been a problem. And what we want to do is anticipate those in advance. That's what that week lead up is. It's like, okay, I'm racing this weekend. These are the potential problems I'm going to have. I could deal with cramping. I could deal with arm pump. I could deal with a headache. I could deal with dehydration. I could deal with muscle soreness. What B players do, B riders do, is they rock up to racing and they go and race and they have the same problems every time and they try and fix the problem after they've had the problem. It's like, oh, I've got a headache. Shit, how am I going to fix this? Oh, I've got to try and have a Panadol. Oh, shit, my legs are really sore. How am I going to fix this? Oh, I've got to try and stretch them out. Oh, I'm dehydrated. What am I going to do? Oh, give me a Hydrolyte. Give me a Powerade. Give me some water. By the time you've already had the problem, it's too late. You've already lost performance because now your focus is taken away from focusing on the racing and now it's focused towards how do I make my body feel better? And you're not going to perform as well. So anticipate problems. You're not going to anticipate all of them, but anticipate some of them. Do you suffer from cramping? Do you get arm pump? Okay. Do you have an issue with hydration? Do you forget to eat your meal before you go and race? Do you usually get to race day and get sucked into race day and forget to eat, right? What are the things that usually happen for you? And then set up something in advance. Anticipate those problems happening. So when they happen, you're on the back, okay, you're on the front foot. You're already going, okay, I've got a solution there. I know what I need to do, or even better, prevent it from happening in the first place. Instead of focusing on hydration after you're dehydrated, focus on getting hydrated before the race, okay? And the third thing is enjoy the week. You're not going to think of everything. Even we're going to go through everything tonight. You're probably going to speak to a lot of people. You've probably spoken to a lot of people already. You might have done the training courses, read the books, looked at the YouTubes, done all of that sort of stuff. You're still going to miss things and there's still going to be problems. You're not going to get everything perfect. So in that week leading up, just enjoy the week as well, okay? When I say enjoy the week, that doesn't mean go and get pissed every night. It just means relax, okay? Don't be so hard on yourself for not having every box ticked. Do what you can to be prepared and then know that you've done your best to do that, whether it's training, whether it's nutrition, everything. Just based on that, quickly in the chat, guys, what's the number one thing you're going to implement in the 7-day lead up? What's the one thing you're going to implement from that in the 7-day lead up that's going to help to make sure that you're ready going into the weekend? Not one thing did you learn, what are you actually going to implement? Okay, because I don't care if you've watched my videos before or watched other videos and learned it and it's in your mind. What are you actually going to implement? What's the one thing you're going to do to improve your performance in that 7-week lead up? And so I want you to post up in the, what's going on here? Post up in the chat box for me. Keep training and eating spot on. Awesome, Brad. Sweet. So keeping that momentum that we've built up so far into the week before. Awesome. What do we got from the rest of you guys? What are we going to implement there? Keep training. Awesome, Ian. Scott, hydration during pre-running and training. Awesome. Tony, structure and consistency. Awesome. Good stuff. Sweet. So a lot around structure there. Jason, keep training and get meals ready. Awesome. Matt, pre-run the track, keep the intensity up. Awesome. Good stuff. Okay. So we've all got one thing there that's come up. So first thing I wanted to tackle with you guys here is the traveling days. So a lot of you are traveling. I don't think there's anyone here on our call that actually lives in Alice Springs. So most of you are traveling somewhat, okay? You're going to be spending time in the car to be able to get out there and be able to go and race. The most important thing when you're traveling, again, is just keeping a routine, but it's also undoing a little bit of the damage that happens when we sit down. So when we get jammed up in the car, our body becomes very stiff and rigid. Our bodies are made to move all the time. That's how they stay most mobile and flexible. When we stop moving for long periods of time, they jam up and seize up. Okay, certain muscle groups stop working. We start to get little aches and pains that come up. Things that we didn't anticipate start to become a problem. So the first thing is you just want to undo all the damage that's been done from sitting in the car. Some of you driving days to get there, right? It's a lot of time in the car, sitting plonked on your ass with a seatbelt on. So here, I'm not going to go through the videos on here, but these will be sent out to you tomorrow. These are some mobility exercises that I've got here. These ones at the top, mobility daily. Okay, are mobility exercises specifically designed to undo the damage of sitting on your ass in the car. Okay, these aren't just randomly plucked mobility exercises. These are mobility exercises designed to undo the damage of sitting in the car. The exact muscle groups and the exact joints that get tight from sitting in the car for so long, these are the exercises that will help to undo that damage. Okay, couch stretch, glute bridges, thoracic extension, hip opener, pec smash. Okay, there's all video links for you. Again, I said I'll send them out tomorrow for you, and you can watch the videos for each of them so you know exactly what you need to do. It might take you 10 minutes to get through those, 10, 15 minutes. If you're going driving, do it when you stop at a petrol station. Do it at the motel, hotel. If you're camping somewhere, do it when you're camping, okay? There's always ways to move your body. At the bottom here, we have the workouts. So these are just sample workouts, okay? They're just example ones that you can use with your body weight that are easy to do. You can knock them out at a petrol station. You can knock them out when you're there at FINKE. So if you don't have your normal training equipment, if you're working with me and you've been doing gym stuff, you can use these workouts. If you've been doing your own stuff at the gym, then you can use these workouts as well. The main thing with these workouts here, we're not trying to break any records. You're just going through the motions, okay? You're not flogging the shit out of yourself. So there's some push-ups, burpees, squats, very simple exercises that you can do anywhere. These are the exercise or trainings that you should be doing in the lead up, okay? This is keeping your body moving. Let everyone else have the beers and go and enjoy the party and enjoy the social side. You can enjoy the social side, but do it after your race, right? You spend all this time, effort, money, energy preparing to go and race. Don't fuck it up in the last week by throwing the baby out with the bathwater and not training, not eating properly, okay, and not doing anything right when you've done all the hard work before. If you've done all the hard work, you owe it to yourself to keep that hard work going until the event's done. Once the event's done, then you can do whatever you want. So again, you guys will get those tomorrow so that you can implement them. So this is scrutineering day. So this will be Friday. Now, there's a few things here to cover on scrutineering day. So scrutineering day, for our purposes, has nothing to do with scrutineering and everything to do with getting your body ready, okay, and paying more attention to that. So you'll see here on this chart, let me have a look. I'll zoom in for you guys. You guys can see that okay? Just give me a thumbs up. Big enough? Yep, awesome. So first thing that we want to do there when we're looking over here, can you see my cursor as well when I do that? Yep, awesome, sweet. So the first thing that we want to look at here is just hand portions. Now, if you've worked with me, this will look very familiar for you in terms of portion sizes. If you haven't worked with me, that's fine. I've given it to you here to be able to use. So when you're putting a meal together of food, this is the structure that you want to use, okay? For a male, 2 palms of protein, 2 fists of veggies, 2 cupped hands of carbs, and 2 thumbs of fat, okay? That's how you want to structure a meal. It's a bit outside the scope of what we're going to go through today in terms of day-to-day nutrition, but that's just a rough guide for you. I didn't want to leave you in the lurch of nothing. This is a hydration chart at the top. The best way to tell if you're hydrated is looking at your piss. It's really simple, okay? If you're pissing out dark brown and these colors over here, you know that there's a problem. There is a real problem. Now, the reason hydration is so important, I actually did some research on this, and they had a test group of athletes doing a specific workout. And so they did the first workout that they did, whatever it was, strength work, cardio, a mix of everything. And they got them well hydrated, okay? Based on 30 to 40 mils per kilo body weight, they got them all hydrated. Then what they did is they took the same group of athletes and they didn't measure their water. They dehydrated them, okay? Cut the water right down. They didn't kill them, but cut the water right down. And they got them to do this similar benchmark testing again. What they found with the same group of athletes, their performance dropped by up to 40%, okay? So their performance dropped by up to 40%, changing nothing else except the amount of water and hydration that they had, okay? It's huge benefits if you can hydrate well, huge disadvantage if you can't hydrate well. The body's made up of roughly 60 to 70% water. So as soon as you start reducing water, the thing that your body is made up of, that's disappearing. That's what it needs to operate at its best. And that's why I'm going to stress it so much as we're going through. So this chart is pretty simple to use. We want to be in the hydrated here, okay? Colorless to slightly yellowish or soft yellow. If you piss and it's gold or yellow, or it's got like a funny smell to it, you are definitely dehydrated. The shit thing about dehydration is that once you're dehydrated, there is no way to rehydrate effectively except rest and drink more water and get more electrolytes in. So in other words, if you get halfway through FINKE and you're dehydrated, doesn't matter how much Powerade you drink, how many hydrolytes you have, or whatever other magic trick that you have, unless you have a drip out there, you're not going to rehydrate yourself, okay? So the work with hydration, like in the 7-day lead up that I was talking about, it's being proactive with your hydration. It's what are the things I can do before the race to make sure I'm hydrated, rather than going, shit, I'm halfway through and I feel like shit, what can I do to hydrate myself now? Okay, so it's always being proactive. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah? Awesome. So let's get on to the next part here. So on scrutineering day, this is the day before Prologue. Now, truthfully, Prologue's not going to be hard for you guys, right? In comparison to the big one. If you've done any sort of training or riding, Prologue's not really going to be too much of an issue for you, fitness-wise or performance-wise. So on scrutineering day, hydration should be important every day. But if you're not paying attention to it every day, at least on scrutineering day, you need to get your shit together. That's when you need to start hydrating and making sure that you're in those hydrated zones, those colorless to very light yellow, okay? That's when you need to start putting the work in with hydration. Part of that is through water. Let's stick with water for now, and then I'll show you some other tips and tricks later. A good start for hydration is 30 to 40 mils per kilo of body weight, okay? So if you weigh 100 kilos, that's 3 to 4 liters of water a day at minimum. Keep in mind, if you're out at FINKE and it's hot, which I'm assuming it will be, especially as you're riding, you're going to be looking 30 or 40 mils plus, okay? It's going to be even more. So good way to do that. And I think you did this, Tony, for work, actually, when we were talking about hydration, is you marked all the bottles that you needed. Cool, you did. So Tony marked all the bottles out, said, like, these are all the bottles I need to have for today, and put them in his work esky and said that these are the bottles I need to drink to get my 40 mils. He knew by the end of the day, if he didn't drink all his bottles, then he needed to drink a bit more water, okay? And so you've got a bit of a gauge there. You guys can do the same. Fill up all your water bottles every day and mark them and go, hey, there's 6 water bottles here. These all need to be consumed by the end of the day. A little trick with water to help with hydration. And this is actually not, this won't be in the notes. This is additional that I've just thought of as we're going through it then on the spot. The most important thing with hydration is retaining water. Okay, hydration isn't about drinking water, it's about retaining water. And so what happens is when you sweat a lot, we sweat out salt. So I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience when you're really, really sweaty and then your sweat dries. You get like a sand on your arms and on your face. You guys ever had that before or noticed it? Yeah? Right? So it's not actually sand, obviously. It's salt. Your body excretes salt when you sweat. And so what salt does is salt holds onto water. So when water is coming in, if there's salt present in our body, it holds onto that water and that helps to keep us hydrated. What happens, and people make this mistake all the time, especially with FINKE, is they sweat a lot because it's hot, you're doing strenuous activity, right? So all of this salt is disappearing from your body. So they've got salt disappearing from the body, which actually holds onto the water. And then they're putting more water in the other end. So the water's going in one side, but it can't actually be absorbed anywhere because there's no salt to absorb it. So they get dehydrated, have symptoms of dehydration, but say, no, I can't be dehydrated. I've had shit tons of water. The amount of water you have doesn't matter. It's the retaining of the water. So what you can do is add 2.5 grams of salt, preferably sea salt or Himalayan salt, to every liter of water that you have. Okay? You'll hardly taste, might be a little bit salty, but that's going to help you to hydrate and hold on to the water rather than just flushing it through. In terms of dinner for scrutineering, going into Prologue day, it's a relatively normal dinner. I've given you an example there as well for dinner. Steak with protein, lettuce, you know, veggies, some sort of complex carbs. We've ramped the complex carbs up a little bit there. Okay, so it's a portion of 3, and then some natural fats as well. There's a document that I've put, that's just an example meal that you can have. At the end of this document, there's actually a list with all the different types of foods you can have for each category. So all the different types of protein, all the different types of veggies, all the different types of complex carbs, all the different types of fats. So there's no guesswork, and you don't need to eat shit that you don't want to eat. You can eat stuff that you actually enjoy eating. That's day 1. Any questions from day 1? Oh, sorry, not day 1, scrutineering day. Haven't even got into day 1 yet. Any questions at all from that? We all good? Just give me a thumbs up if you're all good. If you've got a question, post up in the chat. Awesome, we're all good, cool. There we go. Prologue day after scrutineering. Relatively the same as, in terms of hydration, the same as scrutineering day. Make sure you keep your fluids up. A lot of you are probably going to get very excited on Prologue day because you get out on the bike and you're riding and racing and everyone's out there and everyone's got their new gear and you spent the last 12 months putting your bike together and now it's finally here. That's where most of the hydration and nutrition goes out the window because everyone focuses on the bikes and the logistics of the event. And rightfully so, that's what you should be doing. But that's where preempting what's going to happen becomes important. This is where you should have done this work beforehand. In that 7-day lead up, get your water organized, get your power rate organized, get your water mapped out, okay? Map out what foods you need to eat throughout the day. Do all that stuff beforehand. Buy a little whiteboard. I have a whiteboard here I use for work every day. Actually, I've got a few whiteboards, but buy a little whiteboard that you can get from Officeworks and map out each day in your trailer. 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. If Prologue's at 10 a.m. for you or whatever time it is, then great. Then put in, okay, hydration. Have to drink 2 liters by 9 a.m. Have to have drunk 4 liters by 5 p.m. Have lunch at 12 p.m. Do this, do that. Map all your day out. So it's like a step-by-step process, right? It's not hard to grab a whiteboard and map out how your day's going to look. Now, let's get started for Prologue day. So Prologue, depending on when you are prologuing, when you're going out and riding and racing, I did go on the website to have a look at the timing and everything for this year, but I couldn't find anything specific for this year. I'm sure you guys will probably have it when you entered. They probably sent you details privately with every entry. But the process is exactly the same. Breakfast 3 to 4 hours before you do Prologue. So if you're doing Prologue, does anyone know? Actually, anyone got the details on their Prologue time? Have you guys got that yet or not? No, no one looks like they got it. No, okay, cool, sweet, that's all right. So let's say, for example, Prologue's at 10 a.m., right? Let's use this as an example. Breakfast is 3 to 4 hours before the race. Now, I've laid this out very easy to follow, okay? So you just follow step by step. 3 to 4 hours before the race. So 10 o'clock, 9, 8, 7, probably 6 a.m. we need to be getting breakfast in. Between 6 and 7 is when you need to have your breakfast. What do we want to do? We want a carb load, okay? We want to have 3 portions of bacon, which is our protein source, which is with the hand measurement that we used at the start. And we also want to have 3 portions of brown rice, okay, which was the cupped handful that we did at the start. Okay, so all these, the portion sizes I've got written here are what we had on the previous slide up the top here. Okay, it's using this hand portion system. So you know roughly how much food to get in. Does that make sense with the hand portions? Yeah, sweet. So once we've carb loaded 3 to 4 hours before using our complex carbs and protein source, then we can start doing like a pre-race warm-up. So before you go on Prologue, you want to get your body warm and moving. Okay, and the reason you want it warm and moving is that's when it performs at its best. That's why when you go and train at the gym, you do a warm-up before you go and lift the big weights or do the hard workout, because it allows you to perform better, reduces your risk of injury. So that's what we want to do before you Prologue. If you're going from sitting in the car to now going and doing Prologue and trying to ride your bike as hard as you can, your body's not physically primed to do that. So you need to take it on yourself to do things to get your body primed. So first thing that comes in here, pre-race warm-up. So you can do 3 rounds, 10 push-ups, 10 squats. If push-ups and squats are ridiculously hard for you, don't do them. It's not supposed to be a strength workout, okay? You're not supposed to be killing yourself. 10 push-ups and 10 squats for most of you guys should be relatively easy. It's just something to get your body moving, get up a little bit of a sweat, have some warmth. If you had a jumper on, you won't have a jumper on by the end of the warm-up. I've also given you some great stretches there that are going to be the most beneficial ones to help you on the bike. Okay, so again, they're not randomly picked mobility exercises. These are the ones specifically that will open up the areas that you need to perform at your best on the bike. Again, I've got all the video links there for you guys as well. Oh, did I just skip a page? Oh, I did skip 2 pages. So prologue day. Pre-race nutrition. So 45 minutes before your race, you want to have simple carbs. Okay, simple carbs could be 1 to 2 pieces of fruit or a fruit salad, or it could be a carb gel or a carb drink. So I know there was a few of you that asked about supplements. This is where you would use a supplement. Okay, you can use a carb gel or a carb drink. Personally, for me, I use a carb drink, which is a powder mixed with water. You can use carb gels as well. It's just up to you what you prefer, what you digest better, what tastes better for you. At the end of the day, all the carb drink is a shit ton of refined sugar. That's why it's important to only get it in 45 minutes before you go on ride. Okay. Complex carbs have an energy release like this. Okay, so that's why we're getting them in 3 to 4 hours before. A carb drink or a piece of fruit has an energy release like this. Okay, much steeper, much more instant, snappy. So that's why it's roughly 45 minutes, half hour before. Fuel stops, obviously we're not going to have any fuel stops on prologue day. Well, you will, but it won't be part of the race. Post-race nutrition. So straight after your prologue, have a scoop of protein. Everyone here got protein powder? Yeah? Got some form of protein powder? Yes? No? If you haven't, be honest. It's all right. No? Okay, cool. Get hold of some protein powder. So the reason protein is important for your riding is when you're riding causes stress on your body. It breaks your body down. Okay, same as going training at the gym. It breaks your body down. So if I go to the gym, I feel fresh at the start and I'm really good. In an hour's time after I've just been training and lifting heavy weights and doing cardio, I feel like shit physically, right? Like my body's not as capable as what it was an hour ago. That's because it's broken down. It's in the repairing and the recovery process that we get fitter and we get stronger. What helps with the recovery process and is the recovery process is protein. Protein is the building blocks your body uses to repair itself. Okay, it's not carbs, it's not fats, it's protein. So what we do after we go on ride, so let's say for prologue, you put your body under a bit of stress, it's high intensity. What we want to do is give it the building blocks straight away to recover. And the best way to do that is through protein, through whey protein. We combine that also with some Powerade. The reason we use Powerade, and I'm talking normal strength Powerade, not zero sugar, not any of the fancy variations. 250 mils of Powerade, which is roughly 15 grams of carbs with your protein shake. So 1 scoop of protein, your 250 mils of Powerade, that's going to have your recovery set for after prologue to make sure you're ready for the next day. Who's doing that at the moment? Protein and carbs straight after riding. Probably a few of you guys that are working with at the moment, yeah? No? Cool. All right. Some of you need to step up your game. That will help a shit ton with recovery. One thing I will mention on that, when it comes to fatigue, again, you need to be proactive with fatigue. So what happens generally is day one, everyone's fresh. Prologue's easy. You've ridden for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long the prologue track is. Everyone's going, fuck, this is awesome. Track was relatively smooth, did well. I'm feeling fresh. I've done my training. Awesome. They get to day one of racing and they get about halfway through and they're like, shit, this is fucking hard, right? And then they get to day 2 in the morning and they're going, holy shit, do I have to do what I just did yesterday all over again? Except this time I feel shit from the start. Yes, yesterday I only felt shit halfway through, right? And that's when they start to worry about fatigue. That's when they start to have the protein shakes. That's when they start to have the carb drinks and the carb gels and do all that sort of stuff. You need to get on top of this stuff, the recovery stuff, when you feel like you don't even need it. So after prologue, having a protein shake and a carb drink might be a bit of overkill, okay, for what you're doing in comparison to day 1 and day 2 of racing. But what we're doing is we're making sure we're getting your battery charged right up to 100%. Let everyone else drop to 80%. Let everyone else still be like, oh yeah, I feel fresh, I feel fine, I don't need to worry about that stuff. Do the stuff that no one else is doing at the start. When you feel like you don't need it, still do the things that you know you need to do, knowing that you're not doing it for now, knowing that you're doing it for day 1, knowing you're doing it for day 2, okay? Knowing that you're doing it to bank up as much energy as you can and recover as best you can for day 2 by doing it on the prologue day, okay? Don't wait till day 2 to start hydrating, having the carb gels, doing the protein, doing all of that sort of stuff. Do not be reactive, be proactive. You get one thing from tonight, it's be proactive, okay? Anticipate problems. Get in front of the problems. Don't be on the other side of the problems. Post-race recovery. It's just active recovery. Go for a walk for 5 or 10 minutes. If you've got an exercise bike or a push bike with you, go out for a bit of a pedal on that. Otherwise, just move your body, okay? Don't come off the bike at 100% and then go plonk yourself in the chair or the car. Go for an easy walk, look at the track, talk to your mates, watch your mates ride, do something just to move your body for 5 or 10 minutes. You'll feel much better. Afterwards, then you'll have your lunch. So assuming prologues in the morning, there's a rough meal again for your lunch and for your dinner, okay, that I've mapped out for you. Again, all the portions are there for you. They're just rough portions. Some of you might need a little bit more food. Some of you might need a little bit less food. Everything I'm going through tonight as well, and just a bit of a disclaimer for everything that I'm going through, don't just take this stuff and do it at FINKE without having tested it beforehand, okay? Do a pre-run. If you're going riding this weekend, do a bit of a mock run of how you prepare yourself, what you'd eat for food, what you do for hydration, okay? And the reason I say that is majority of this stuff works for 80 or 90% of people, okay? But you might find out specifically for you that when you eat almonds, you feel like shit afterwards, okay? Or when you have sweet potato, you don't feel too good. Or you find out that you have your complex carbs, you don't digest them too well. Maybe you need to have a little bit less complex carbs. Or maybe you didn't have enough food and you need to have a little bit more. There's all these little subtleties that's individual to each and every one of you, okay? So never experiment when you go out for a race. The experimentation is always done beforehand in the previous rides and previous races. So when you go and race, you already know how your body's going to react and how it's going to feel and what to do. You're not using guesswork. Any questions on this section for prologue before we get into day one? All making sense so far? Yeah? Awesome, cool. Has anyone learnt anything yet? What have we learned? Let me check in with you guys. Post up in the chat. What's the number one thing you've learnt so far that you're actually going to implement? Not that sounds good in theory. What's the number one thing that you actually need to implement? Cool, Tony. So maybe no almonds for you, Tony, if they're making you trip out. Matt's asking, pre-race, can you have glucose powder with water? Yep, so glucose powder, same sort of thing. It's just sugar, which will be included as a carb drink. Jason Mitchell, make more effort on that day. Awesome. So Jason's done FINKE 7 times, or this will be the 7th time. Make more effort on the prologue day. Get ahead of the problems. Awesome. Scott, protein post-race. Awesome. What about the rest of you? You just wasted your time here. You haven't learned anything so far. What have you learned, guys? What's the one thing that you've learned, or the one thing you're going to implement as you go into racing? Ian, focus on food at prologue. Awesome, sweet. Brad, gel and carb drink. Sweet. Good stuff. Matt, stick to a food plan. Awesome. What have you learned, Adam? Mr. King, I'm interested to know. Let's get those thumbs working. We'll give them a good workout. Don't worry about that. Who else haven't I heard from? Tom, have I heard from you, Tom? Cool. Where's my chat box gone? It's disappeared. Chat. Cool. Stick to a food plan. We've got carb drink. Focus on prologue. Awesome. Good stuff, guys. So, moving on. Racing day one. Here we go. So, this is the bread and butter day. This is where all the hard work you've done is going to start to show. And we're going to get the first half knocked over. Adam, practice runs of food with training. Awesome. Good stuff. So, again, on day one, depending on what time racing starts. Have we got times for racing starts or not? No. For day one? Anyone got any info? No. I'm assuming no. Everyone's saying no, so it must be a no. Okay. So depending on when racing starts, I've given you the times because that way, like racing always changes. You know, anything could happen. 3 to 4 hours before the race. Bacon ×3, okay, with your servings of protein using the hand portions that I've given you before. Brown rice is a complex carb, okay? There's a whole list of complex carbs at the bottom that you can also use. Again, pre-race warm-up. It's the same thing we did the day before, okay? It's the exact same system. It's do your 3 rounds of 10 push-ups and 10 squats. It's do your 3 lots of stretches that you're going to use for racing. Pre-race nutrition, 45 minutes before. Now, this is where it comes to getting a bit more organized with your nutrition, okay, and racing. And this is going to be different for each of you depending on how many fuel stops you're doing. So post up for me in the chat, how many fuel stops are you guys having? From a survey I did recently, 2 fuel stops seems to be the go, but post up in the chat so I can make sure I've got everyone covered here. Scott, 2 to 3, cool. Matt Clark, 2. Brad Luff, 2. Sweet. How many fuel stops we doing, guys? What about for everyone else who's on here? Andrew, Clark, Tom, Dave. Ian, 3 fuel stops, awesome. Tony, 2. Andrew, Club Fuel, 3, cool. Jason, 1, maybe 2, awesome. Sweet, so we've got a bit of a mixture there of 1 to 3. So I'll make sure I cover everything then. So what we've got here is a very important ratio that we need to tackle, and that's what I'm going to help you with now. So when you're racing for FINKE, your body, okay, as an athlete, as a person, as a physical human being that's about to perform on a bike at high intensity, you need between 30 to 45 grams of carbs and 15 grams of protein every hour of intense exercise, okay? So 30 to 45 grams of carbs per hour of exercise with 15 grams of protein. Now, you're not going to eat food. Number 1, your digestive system's not working, okay, because it's under a lot of stress from riding. Number 2, you're probably not going to bring a Weber barbecue with you to each fuel stop to sit down and have lunch together. So we need pre-race nutrition. 45 minutes before, we need 1 to 2 pieces of fruit or a carb gel or drinks. This is where you can have a carb shot, your carb drink. See how many carbs are in the in each scoop, okay, or whatever you've got. It'll tell you on the back. Just flick it over and look at the carbohydrates, and it'll tell you how many grams of carbs. For the carb drink I've got, it's 40 grams of carbs per scoop, right? So I would have, if I was preparing for this race based on that, first of all, you get your carb gel or your carb drink in. Then you want to make sure that your Camelback is filled with 2 liters minimum of coconut water. So the reason you can use coconut water, because it's relatively high in sugar, 4.4 grams of carbs per 100 mils, okay, for that. Or you can use Powerade. Powerade's a lot stronger. It's got a lot more sugar in it. Probably tastes a lot better for you guys as well. So you want to add water to anything over 2 liters. About 2 liters of Powerade is going to hit your carbohydrate requirements for the full event, okay? If you're going to put, and obviously you're limited to what your Camelback can store. Most Camelbacks are between 2 to 3 liters. If you've got a 2 liter Camelback, then it's probably going to be all Powerade. If it's a 3 liter or a 2.5 liter, fill up 2 liters with Powerade, and that will give you all the carbs you need for the full race. And then fill the rest up with water. In saying that, see how you, again, test this out, okay? Some of the Powerade flavors can be quite strong. And so what you'll find, if it's very strong and too sweet, when you're riding, you might start to get a dry mouth and it might have too much sugar and you might need to dilute it down for you, okay? And that's fine. Some of other guys on here, you'll be perfectly fine with how it is. It'll be easy for you. Just pour the bottle in your Camelback and away you go. Pre-race nutrition, you also want to consume anywhere from 250 to 500 mils of water in the liter, okay? Roughly an hour before. I think I spoke about this with Brad, actually. I think we had a chat about pissing yourself while you're riding the bike. That's probably worst case scenario, right? If you got too much water in, piss yourself on the bike. No one's going to know anyway. And it's probably going to dry out by the time you get to the other side anyway. Always better to work towards more hydration than having less hydration, okay? There are negatives to being dehydrated and there's negatives to being overhydrated. The majority of us have a problem being underhydrated. It's definitely not, we're not going to have issues overhydrating. So that's that. Lunch. No lunch, okay? No food. the reason we don't have food around race days is your digestive system doesn't work, guys. Okay, when your body's under stress, your digestive system shuts down. It doesn't work. Any food that you try and shove in while it's under stress, your body's not going to get the nutrients and it's going to sit up here and you're going to feel like shit, right? So no food. That's why we use supplements and drinks for all the nutrients that we need while we're racing. So lunch, obviously there's going to be no lunch as we're racing. Let's get into fuel stops here, down the bottom. Let me move down a little bit. So fuel stops. There's a couple of ways we can do this. Again, it's going to work on your individual strategy. So I know for Brad, he's doing the club fuel stops, and so they're going to be providing fuel, okay? It makes it very hard to get nutrition in when you've got a random stranger giving you fuel, okay, on the bike. It makes it impossible to be able to do. So you need to make sure you've got this part organized before you go and race. So instead of just adding Powerade to your Camelback, you're also going to add in your protein as well, okay? It'll be roughly 2 to 3 scoops of protein into your Camelback with your Powerade, okay, mixed together. Now, you're going to have to test that. Some of you might have a Powerade that doesn't mix, protein that doesn't mix well, and it's going to be too lumpy, and it's not going to go through your Camelback, and it's going to all sink to the bottom, okay? Some of you are going to have one that mixes well, and it's going to be no problem for you. So make sure when you put it in, you do a test run, and you shake it up really fucking well to make sure that you're getting it all in, not getting to the end of a 3-hour ride and then going, oh shit, I've got 3 scoops of protein at the bottom of my Camelback. That's if you're using fuel stops, club fuel stops, okay? Make sure you've got your protein in there. If you need clarification on that, just send me a message and I'll let you know what you need to do for your specific scenario. Or you can ask me at the end. There was something else I was going to touch on there, but I'll come back to that. Fuel stops, the other angle that you can do it, if you've got someone filling up fuel for you, okay, you're sorting out your own fuel, get your protein shakes all made up with exactly what you need, exactly what I've got written down here for you. Duct tape it to your fuel container, okay? So when the person comes, number one, it's not going to get lost. Number two, you're not going to forget about it. When that person comes over with your fuel drum, they fill up the bike, you have the shake, and then away you go. This will add to the carbs that you've already got in your Camelback, and will also, the protein is going to help with the recovery process. Again, you're probably not going to feel like you need it at the first fuel stop. You're probably going to get there and go, oh, you know what? I feel all right. Don't worry about how you feel. Worry about how you're going to feel at the end of day 2. Okay, the shit we do in the first part of day 1 is not about the first part of day 1. It's not about boosting your energy and making you more enthusiastic and more motivated and more highly strung than what you already are in that first hour. Okay, it's about setting you up for day 2. So even if you don't really feel like having it or don't feel that you really need the extra energy, don't worry about that shit. We're worrying about day 2. Okay, but we need to get on top of this stuff early. Repeat the same process at each stop. If you're doing 3 fuel stops, get 3 shakes made up. Again, it's going to differ completely for all of you, okay? You're going to be completely different for every single one of you based on your strategy, based on how many fuel stops you have. Commonly what happens as well, sometimes you'll get out there and you'll plan to do a fuel stop and then go, no, I feel fine, and not stop for fuel, okay? I've heard that story many times. And I've also heard the story many times where people have run out of fuel and they really have to use their fitness because they have to run the bike across the line. Especially if you've got a 500, you've got your work cut out for you. So that's the fuel stops. Post-race nutrition. Again, don't worry about how you feel on day 1. If you feel fine on day 1, that's great. Thumbs up to you. We're not worried about that. We're worried about the end of day 2. We're doing shit on day 1 to set you up for the end of day 2. Okay, the day 1 stuff has a very small amount to do with day 1. It's all about what we can do for the end of day 1 and get you through day 2. Okay, instead of starting up here on day 1 and feeling like you're down here on day 2, I want you to be like this on both days. I want you to get up on day 2 and look at everyone else that's out there at FINKE that hasn't done their preparation, hasn't done the work, didn't take the first day seriously, didn't come tonight, okay, didn't get the right information, and go, fuck yeah, I'm ready to get at day 2 because I know that they didn't do the work and I know that I did, and pick up more spots on day 2 than what you did in Prologue and day 1 combined. All right? And that comes from doing the work when no one else is doing the work. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Just make sure you're on point. So, first race finishes, day 1. It's recovery time. We're not worried about partying. We're not celebrating about, oh, how well we've done on day 1 and how this section was and that section was. It's no, we need to get recovery and get set for day 2. Give your body the building blocks it needs to recover for day 2. So the way that we do that, again, have a protein shake, have some more Powerade, Okay, again, the amount of the protein ratio that we're working on, so you can work it out yourself. If you like 15 grams of protein per hour, 30 to 45 grams of carbs per hour of racing. Okay, that's what you need. That's how it needs to be. How you break that down is up to you. You want to put it in your camelback, you want to do it at fuel stops, okay, you want to pull over on the side of the track and have a gel shot, it doesn't matter, however you want to do it, but that's what your body needs. Then it's about making that ratio fit into how you're tackling the race. Again, post-race recovery, okay? You've just ridden for 2, 3, 4 hours. You need to recover, okay? Active recovery. Go for a walk for 15 minutes, half an hour. Look at the track, push your bike around, go and visit people at their tents, go for a push bike ride, go into town. I don't know what you guys want to get up to. Just move for 15 minutes to half an hour. Do some stretches, okay? Do something easy. It's just getting your body moving. Your body releases a lot of toxins when it's under stress, which causes inflammation and soreness. That's why you get stiff and sore after you've done a hard workout. What we want to do is reduce the stiffness and soreness for day 2. The way we do that is getting your lymphatic system working. The way your lymphatic system works is by moving. Moving can be as simple as going for a walk. Let everyone else sit down. Let everyone else have the beers. Okay, let everyone else do that shit. Focus on your recovery and setting yourself up really well for day 2. That starts with doing a 15-minute, half-hour walk straight after, okay? Don't go and sit down for 3 hours because you're going to get tight and stiff. You have to keep moving your body. Other recovery techniques I've got here, you can use compression garments if you've got skins or anything like that. You can do hot and cold contrast showers if you've got access to showers, or hot and cold showers, which we'll talk a little bit on in a minute. And do some mobility work. Foam rolling if you've got a foam roller. Do some stretches that I've provided for you already. Dinner, we're carb loading and we're getting a shit ton of food in. Okay, your body will be burning a shit ton of calories, more calories than probably what you have ever burnt before, unless you've done a lot of racing at this level as well. Okay, your body will be burning a shit ton of calories. It's very important you get plenty of good quality food in before the race and plenty of good food in after the race, because that's the building blocks for your body. Your body has just chewed through and been under a whole heap of calories and been under a lot of stress. We need to give it the building blocks to start recovering. It can't recover on fresh air, okay? It doesn't recover on fasting. It recovers on food and fuel. So when you get back that night, have 2 dinners if you need to. Let your body calm down. A couple of hours later or a few hours later, have 2 dinners. Have 1 dinner, let your body digest it, and then get some more food in, okay? If you follow this ratio of food, you can't go wrong, right? Follow the ratio of food that I've got there for you. Don't be shy on getting plenty of food in. Your body needs it to recover to be able to be ready to go tomorrow. If you don't give it any food or fuel, it's got nothing there to recharge with. Next. So that's day 2. Oh, that was day 2. Sorry, day 1, day 2. There we go, day 2. Day 2 is an exact replica of day 1. There is nothing different from day 2 in comparison to day 1. It's just ticking the box on each and every one of them. It's going bang, bang, bang. I've done that, done that, done that. And again, don't put yourself under pressure and try and stress about this stuff on the day. Okay, get it organized beforehand. I also understand there's a lot of information here. Okay, there is a shit ton of information. If you've been working with me for a while, you've probably got a handle on a lot of it. Okay, and it's just minor tweaks and changes. If you've just started working with me, or if you've worked with me a while back, or you haven't worked with me before, that's cool. But you're going to probably find this quite overwhelming, going, shit, there's so many things I need to do. Don't do all of them. Just pick the one thing that's going to give you the best improvement that's easiest for you to implement. Okay, don't stress yourself out thinking that you have to get everything perfect. This is the eating away nutrition list I was talking about. So as I put the meals together, this is what you guys can use. So like if I go here, if we look at dinner here at the bottom, it says steak, protein. And let's say, oh, I fucking hate steak. All right, cool. Then we go to protein and we pick out another source of protein. Same as like, I think Ian was saying, if food's being provided for you, use this list to find things that's being provided for you to put the best meals together that you can, okay? Again, it's not going to be perfect, okay? We're working towards progress. So that's the list there. You guys will get that tomorrow, so you can look through it, and there's all your complex carbs option, your simple carbs option, but I've labeled it all for you, so it's really easy, right? So steak is protein, fibrous carbs, complex carbs, fat. So I've given you an example meal, and then if you want to change the foods around, then go for it. Okay, you've got plenty of options there. This is a race-ready recovery system that I've used for quite a few years. I get a lot of writers that would ask me about what recovery techniques are. So I made up this little infographic with all the techniques on there. I just thought I'd include that for you guys. Some of them may be relevant, some of them maybe not. But I just thought I'd include it there for you guys. What are some recovery techniques you can use? Active recovery, which we talked about, stretching, mobility, hot and cold contrast, ice baths. Not the biggest fan, but could be helpful for end of day one. Massage, post-workout nutrition, sleep, avoid caffeine and coffee, meditation, hydration, compression clothing, reduce the intensity of training. So just sort of include those for you. All right. Now, that is absolutely everything that I've gone through. Okay, that's the fire hose of information. Now, as I just said, you're not going to implement everything. Okay, and I don't want you to implement everything, and I don't expect you to implement everything. All I want you to implement, I want you to, at the very least, what's the one big thing that you're going to implement? What's the one breakthrough that you will implement from our call today? What's the one thing that you'll go from our call today? You'll go, bam, I'm glad I went to that meeting that night. I'm glad I spent the time, the effort, the energy to go there. And that's the one thing that's going to help me at FINKE to be better organized and perform better than if I hadn't done that. I want you guys to post up in the chat. What do we got? Don't be shy. I'm just going to have a quick drink. So Matt Clark, food plan ratios and hydration. Awesome, man. Cool. What part of the hydration, Matt? Was it the pissing? Is it the actual numbers of the hydration? Is it the adding salt to your water? What part of it? Scott, protein and hydration. Awesome. Jason, timing on meals and hydration. Awesome. Tony, structure and organization. Awesome. Good stuff. Brad, eating plenty of food before and after. Good work, Brad. Andrew Jackson, put the time into structuring my day. Awesome, man. Sweet. Ian, protein and camelback. Great. Who are we missing? Don't be shy, guys. Post up. What's the one thing you're going to implement? I want to make sure everyone that's here has got the thing that they need to be able to perform at their best. I don't want you to come away from tonight and go, shit, yeah, I learned a whole heap of stuff, but I don't know if it's actually improved my writing. I want it to improve your writing. I want you to message me after FINKE and go, thanks for the help. Not thanks for the whole heap of information that made me more overwhelmed and stressed than I already was going into FINKE. What do we got, guys? Who have I not heard from? Adam, getting protein and hydrate at the right time. Awesome, sweet. Good stuff. Tom, adding salt to water to help maintain hydration. Awesome. So most carb drinks, if you've got a proper carb drink, a lot of carb drinks will have electrolytes in them. Who asked me before? I think it was you, Matt. You asked me about the glucose powder. Check in the glucose powder if it has electrolytes in there as well. Electrolytes are things like magnesium, sodium, potassium. They're going to help with hydration. If they don't have those in there, I would probably be inclined to not use the glucose powder and go and get yourself a carb drink. And the carb drink will have the electrolytes in there as well, which will help with hydration. Dave, protein, power rate at fuel stops. Awesome, good stuff.